Hello, how's it going? If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Anel, and if you've been here before, welcome back. So today, I will be sharing a very interesting topic. Some may call it controversial. However, I was sitting down and thinking I have not posted a video in a very long time. And my last video was about consistency. So I was like, I need to post something today, not wait till tomorrow. I have a few minutes before I have to head to work. So I was thinking, what can I post? This is a topic that is very in my life right now. So I figured what better topic to do than to talk about this and share my journey. So I'll be sharing my journey and how I went from being raised Catholic to going through a phase of my life of new age spirituality and now finding Christianity. So I will be sharing my story on each and why I am where I am in life right now. So hopefully it resonates with somebody and you can share your own story if you have any questions. I just feel like it's one of those things that I have to put out in the open because it is just so true to my life right now. And I would not be here today if it wasn't for that. So we'll start from the beginning and hopefully I cover any questions that you might have, any questions that I know I had growing up. And I will start with the first thing, which is how I was raised, what religion I was raised. So I wrote down a few questions in each category of questions that you might possibly have. So a little bit about my background growing up. I have been Catholic my whole life. I was baptized, I was confirmed, I did my first communion, and I got married through a Catholic church just recently, actually. So all I knew my whole life was being Catholic. However, I never knew what that meant. I just knew you go to church, you sit down every Sunday, you sit down in those long benches, and there is a priest talking. He's reading the Bible. To be honest, I didn't even understand what he was saying. I can't tell you much about what it means to be Catholic. I just know we pray to Mother Mary, and there's a lot of saints as well that did a lot of things, and we pray to them as well. And there's a lot of different kind of ceremonies that we would do. A lot of I would say like parties that we celebrate. But other than that, I couldn't tell you what it means to be Catholic. So I used to go to church when I was little, very little. I want to say like 5 to 8 years old, almost every Sunday as a family with my parents and my siblings. I have two older brothers. However, as the years went by, we got busier, things happened, and church just started dying out for us. Like we just not going to church that often anymore. And up until I want to say the last 10 years after I graduated high school, my mom became very active in the Catholic Church. Like, I mean, very active. She is a president of something in the church, and she has a group of ladies that they work together and get all the things going for the church, like the events. They do Bible studies and things of that sort. So she is very, very active, and till this day, goes to church every single day now. So I don't know what happened throughout those years, but I completely stopped going to church. Like completely, I was only going maybe on the days that you get the ashes on your forehead. I was going maybe just for that, and only because my mom would make me go. She like not make me, like no one can make it do anything, but peer pressure me to go, guilt trip me. So I would go, but to be honest, like, I didn't even know why I was doing these things. And just last year, I did get married through a Catholic church. And that was the same thing because my mom really wanted me to get married through it. And I was like, okay, if it's going to make her happier, sure, I'll do it. It's not a big deal. So I did had a small wedding and got married through the Catholic church. And like I mentioned earlier, I never really knew anything about the Bible. Like I did not know any verses. I didn't know how to read the Bible. I genuinely did not know the story of Jesus being resurrected. Like nothing. It's crazy because I did do catechism, but I was very young. I was like 7 years old, if that. I don't remember anything. If I retained anything at the time, I don't know because I don't remember anything. When I did my confirmation, I was a baby. So back then, they would allow literally infants, like months old. I think it was like 4 months old when I was confirmed. And to me, that didn't make sense because I didn't know anything about it. Like I was legit a baby. So didn't learn anything when I got confirmed. And when I did my first communion, it was a very short course at the time that I did it. And I don't remember anything either from that. So either my memory was really bad or I did not, or I really didn't learn anything. But I did not know anything about the church. So a little bit over 2 years ago is when I had this big spiritual awakening when I did that big Tony Robbins event. And that is when I started questioning everything that is religion. I started questioning, like, does God really exist? Are these things real? Everything I was taught, is it real? So I was really questioning everything. Growing up, I was a very troubled child. Not like my very young childhood, like from baby to 7 years old, but from seven and on up until like after high school, actually, I was very troubled. I went through so many things. I was broken. I was legit broken. I went, I went through sexual abuse. I went through what some people call eating disorders. I went through a very abusive relationship that I stuck through way too long. I had suicidal attempts. I went through cancer. I went through all the things. So I was very troubled. So many things going on in my mind. So later on in life, which was about 3 years ago, was when I had my big spiritual awakening. And it was just this like, oh my gosh, like life does not have to be suffering. That life does not have to be like this. And for me, it was attending that Tony Robbins event that I did through Zoom. Just really opened up my eyes to a whole new world. But the whole new world it opened my eyes up to was the spiritual world. So I started diving deep into meditation, started diving deep into like all the chakras, deep into crystals. And I dove in so deep that I started learning about like the tarot card reading. I started learning more about like the psychic powers that people have and all these other things. Then I wanted to learn more about that. I wanted to learn more and more and more. Like, how are people getting these powers? Like, what is it? And diving more into it. And I learned a lot, but it scared me because it scared me that, yes, your life can be so great, but there's also a lot of bad that exists out there. And it really scared me learning about like all the witchcraft that goes on, the white magic, black magic, all these things. And I was like curious to want to learn more, curious to reach out to these psychic readers, but my husband was so against it. He's just like you should not know what your future holds for you. That is a mystery and type of thing. And I was so curious, but I stopped wanting to learn about the white magic, black magic, the crystals, and all those things. And I just kind of like didn't ignore it, didn't like put energy into it, just ignored it. Like I know it exists, but that's not for me. So I just kept going into my meditations, and to this day, I still meditate, and I love to meditate. So at that time, I used to always meditate to a higher power, a higher source, because I was doubting God. I didn't know. Like, I legit did not know who to meditate to. So I would just visualize when I would close my eyes, like a big energy source of energy coming from a big energy above me. And I would call it God sometimes, but I just couldn't put a face to it. So I would just visualize a big energy ball, like just a lot of light. Like if you could imagine like a big sun above your head and just the brightness in your eyes, that's what I would meditate to. And I'm like, to the highest power, like, whatever I would meditate for that day. And when I was grateful, same thing to the big energy source. Through this time, I was still going through things. Like, I felt like I really got through a lot of things, like my sexual abuse. I did some therapy and it really helped me. My eating disorders, like, I felt like I was getting in the right place with that. A lot of different things. However, I still had things that I felt like I needed more, like I needed to find more. I needed to put more names to things like, like the higher source. I needed to know more. So I really wanted to know like what it feels like to have faith, but I was almost scared to look for a religion. So I would look like, what is Christianity? Because these people that I follow online that I see as like mentors, like Tony Robbins and David Bayer, someone that will talk about because he opened up my eyes, things like that. I'm like, if they believe in God, why don't I? What are they seeing that I'm not seeing? Things like that. So I started questioning more. And the reason why I was so hesitant to even think of religion was because I saw my mom. Love my mom dearly. And then she's not the only example, but I'm going to give that example because that's someone I know really well. She goes to church all the time. And when I mean all the time, I mean legit, like every single day goes to church. However, she is not happy. She still talks bad about some people, complaining about people and talks bad about them. When I see her go do even things for church, she complains sometimes like, oh, why do I have to go do this? What is anybody helping? And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, you're not seeing the point. So I'm like, okay, if she's so involved in church, why is her life like that? So I figured that's how our religion is. I figured like it's almost like a cult. I figured I get the community part. So that's amazing. I'm so grateful and happy she has a good, healthy community that she can go to. every week to hang out with her friends. And, they're doing something good, praising the Lord. However, I'm like, why is she in such a bad mood? And like, I feel great. I feel legit. I wake up and, I thank my higher source and I feel great. And I really have good intentions in my heart to bless people with love. So why do I need to go to church? Why do I need to find God if I feel good and she's going and she doesn't feel good? So that was my reasoning. That was my thinking. And that's why I was stuck in the whole spiritual for a very long time. It was like 2 years of just, meditating and finding the higher self of me, things like that. However, I hit a point where I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to get better, but something keeps holding me back. So for me, it was like something inside of me that felt like it needed to be filled. I felt like the four pillars of my life, they weren't complete. The family, the health and fitness, the financial, and faith, right? So I feel like it was not complete. I'm working on my health and family all the time, right? Those two, I already know what to do. I know what needs to get done. I'm working on my finances. I know what needs to get done. However, my faith, I feel like it just wasn't filled. I needed something else. So I was still looking for religion when I would talk to people that I knew. Like I have a cousin who converted to Christianity versus Catholic. And it's crazy because his family almost shunned him at first. Even my mom was like, oh my gosh, can you believe he converted to Christian? Like very judgy. And I was curious. So I talked to him one day and I asked him about it. And he described to me why he did it. And it just felt right to him. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Like that makes sense. It totally makes sense why you would praise one God. And, you're taking the time and energy, doing all, talking about like the saints and all the other things, right? And just all the things he talked about made sense to me. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So why are people so, is my mom so against it? And then another thing that I said, Tony Robbins and David Bayer, he posted this video that really just resonated with me. And it really made me like, wow, I need to go check out what he's talking about because his story just resonates with mine. He was lost, he was broken, he had all these addictions. He went through spirituality like a 9-10 years of just looking for things, did the ayahuasca, did the retreats, spent so much money doing all these inner healings, and there was still something missing until he found Christianity. And he mentioned in the Bible itself, it gives you more tools than you can ever have in just spirituality, just by yourself. So if you depend on yourself to do things, you're never going to reach your higher potential because God has all the power. Has everything. So he can help you elevate to things that you cannot. So I don't know how to describe it too good, but he kind of described it like that. And he's like, the Bible legit describes the tools to use for different things. And I never knew the Bible was like that. So then I looked it up and I looked up some Bible verses that I could understand. I looked up like the easy terms and I understand it. And it made sense. It really made sense because there's like some phrases about money. There's phrases on how self-development, you need it for yourself and you need it for life. And all these things just made sense to me. And at the time, we also had a couple because my husband and I coach for soccer for little kids. And there was a couple that they also coach as well, and they're very Christian. And I went up to them and I actually asked them what church they go to, and they told me and they explained to me their same thing. They were Catholic and they were looking for a church. They tried a few different churches till this one just felt right. And I was like, okay, let me know the name. And we went. It's a non-denominational Christian church, actually behind the gym that I go to, which is so crazy because I never even knew it was there. Went to it, and as soon as I stepped in and they started to worship, I started bawling. Like my eyes were just like in tears. My heart felt like lit up. Like legit, my heart was like, I felt like it was pounding, and it felt like just a big rays of sunshine in there. It just felt so good. Like that's what I needed. That is legit what I needed, and God guided me there. And that is how I got from being Catholic to the spiritual to now Christian. And there was a song that the worship team played. It was called The Goodness of God. And I have been playing that song every single day ever since then. Man, that song, I have it on replay for a reason because it just hits my soul like no other. It is so crazy because all the things that I've gone through, the sexual abuse when I was little, the suicide attempts, the cancer, the bad relationships, the eating disorders, because all those things I have gone through them for a reason. And pretty much the song is saying, like, you have been faithful to me my whole life. So you've always been there for me. However, I had to learn these things. I had to learn to finally surrender. And I finally put it all to God. Like everything, I put it to you to help me through this, to guide me through this. And my heart and my life is in your hands. And I feel like I had to live all those things that I've gone through to be here where I am at today. If I would not have gone through all those things, I wouldn't be able to share my story. And I genuinely, when I meditate, when I pray, all the things, I always ask God, how can I help? How can I help someone? Please guide me to help me someone. And I genuinely feel like I had to live those things so I can help someone. So I can help that girl that is going through those things, that girl that feels alone in a room full of people, that girl that feels like the sexual abuse is her fault. That girl that feels like the eating disorders defines her, does not define you. Like, I feel like I had to go through all those things to really, really understand and have empathy for those girls. And that's why I'm here sharing my story and my testimony that I'm like, oh my gosh, I surrender now. It feels so good to feel good. And life does not have to be what people make it, because it's crazy. A lot of the things that we hold on to, they're just things in our head. They're just memories in our head. Like for me, the sexual abuse, like that happened years ago. I was a little girl when that happened, and I held on to those memories for years, and it ruined my days years in and years out. When that had happened years ago, I had to learn to let it go. They're just memories in our head that we hold on to that do not longer serve us. They do not serve us, and we need to learn to surrender those things. So I really feel like I had to live those things. And so right now, my faith is Christianity. I am in a non-denominational Christian church, and I'm still learning. I'm learning because there are a lot of other types of Christians. Some have more rules than others, but I'm going to take it one step at a time and kind of see where I lead. But right now, it just feels so right to be where I am at. And it's not to push religion to anybody, but it's just to know that life can be such a blessing. Life literally is what you make it. So you can have such a happy, fulfilled life, or you can feel like it is such a terrible world and you live in such a terrible place. So it really is what you make of it. And I choose to live such a happy, fulfilled, abundant life. And that's how I wake up every morning. And if I don't, I better make sure I change that attitude, because, of course, I still have intruding thoughts that come in, but I learn to use my tools to let go of those thoughts and to replace them with better thoughts to go on about my day, because all I want to do is spread literally love, positivity. I want everyone around me to feel the way I feel, because it just feels so good. And yeah, that's my testimony. That is my story. And I hope it resonates with somebody out there. If you would like to share your testimony, let me know down in the comments. If you do follow Christianity, if you are practicing Christian, let me know any questions that you have. Let me know, like, talk to me. If Jesus has changed your life, let me know down in the comments how. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I really appreciate it, and appreciate all of you watching this video right now. I will be posting more about my cold plunges and all the other things that are part of my life as well. But this video, I just felt like I had to put it out there regardless, because this is where I am in my life right now. And you all have a blessed day. Thank you for watching.